All right, what's up, everybody? I want to make another video about how you shouldn't really care about how you look and to other people or other people perceptions when you going in the gym. You shouldn't be afraid to fail or um, worried or nervous about how you may look when you fall because even the greatest failed at a point. Even the greatest now, they still fall because what we see on the outside and what we see when a fight come on and the lights come on is completely different than when they in the dark or when they in the gym. You get what I'm saying? And every fighter will let you know that because it take a lot to actually get to that point to where they at. Nobody looking at the sparring rounds, or I like to use this analogy: when you at the top of the mountain, nobody seen the valleys that you had to go through to get to the top. So understand that these storms and these valleys gonna come. That's what it takes to get to the top of the mountain. You can't just jump and get to the top. All right. And I'm not using these words to be cliche, or I'm not trying to be like, oh, this is like super motivational speech, bro. Like, no, this is real talk. You get what I'm saying? And I feel like a lot of people struggle with this. So to whoever going in new to the gym, or, they thinking about starting martial arts or starting anything, man, basketball, football, whatever. If it's any kids out there, listen, bro, don't be afraid to look stupid, bro. Plain and simple. Don't be afraid to look stupid. You have to allow your body to be open to failure so you can know how to build those patterns and build that foundation to be a great athlete or be a great artist. If you don't know what it feels like to lose, or if you don't know what it feels like to fail, then you wouldn't be able to handle those difficult adversity moments, or you wouldn't be able to handle those storms when it comes. Because trust and believe, especially in a combat sport, there's always going to be somebody that tests you, or it's always going to be somebody that bring you down to that point to where you got to question yourself, like, bro, what am I doing? How did I get here? And is this even for me? You know? And that's normal. It's normal to have those thoughts. Trust and believe. Everybody had those thoughts, man. And the whole undefeated thing is not realistic. You know what I'm saying? That's not realistic. It's impossible for you to be undefeated in life, man. Now, your record on the boxing, when it comes to boxing and stuff like that, yeah, of course, you're undefeated when it comes in there, but in life, nobody's undefeated. You get what I'm saying? Because calamity happens, you know? Outside of the ring, man, stuff happen. You never know what anybody going through, man. That's why we here. That's why we get to the gym. That's why we working on what we got to work on. That's when self-development come in. But it's just a quick video for anybody that's out there, that's probably too hard on themselves like me. Just the other day, I was just in the gym questioning, like, bro, all this not competing stuff, man, is limiting myself. Like, I limit myself. So it has to get to a point. First off, you got to question what you've been doing. Are you in the gym? Are you doing what you're doing consistently? If you're not consistent with what you're doing, then is no need for you to have those type of negative thoughts, because you got to do your end of the bargain at the end of the day. You got to make sure you putting in the time and effort in the work, and even more, you know. Once you start getting to that point, which I highly doubt that you will have these thoughts, but once you start getting to that point and you have those thoughts, then it's something to be considered. I mean, it's something to consider. You get what I'm saying? It's something to start thinking, like, okay, what am I doing? Do I got to come in it a different way? Do I got to have a different approach? Then you start having those questions and those thoughts, like I said. But if you're not putting in half amount of the work, bro, and you say you want to be great, it's no need. Listen, it's no excuse. It's either you make it your excuse or you make it your reason. Listen to what I'm saying. It's either you make it your excuse or you make it your reason. All right? I know we hear the term, it can always be worse. Sometimes I hate to hear that, because it's like, man, I understand that, but the weight on my shoulder weigh the world, you know? I know it could be worse, but what I'm going through right now is enough for me. But it's also the bright side of when you make it through them storms, you start to be more grateful of God's grace. Like, yeah, it's by God's grace that I'm actually here and breathing. And I'm actually proud and I'm grateful for the position that I'm in, and I'm willing to take whatever it takes, because it only lasts so long, man. We don't got as much time as we think. You see a lot of people that just suffer from bad circumstances. Sometimes people catch cancer, and sometimes people like get into bad accidents and stuff like that. And it's kind of a sensitive topic, but it's real and it's true. And then we see them people, they still have a good heart and they still got a good head on their shoulders, and they still able to get up and get to it, however, some way. you know, and that's something I admire with all the people that go through that, you know, because you never know, you know, and some people won't be able to handle that weight, and some people can't handle that pressure, you know. They'll want to pull the plug. Don't pull the plug, all right? I'm keeping it real with y'all, all right? Stay confident, stay true to yourself as always, and trust in God's plan, you know, and always remember that it's by His grace that we even able to breathe, you know. Just take a breath in and just be grateful for the position that you're in right now, and put in that work and make sure you do your part, you know, before you start questioning yourself. I know I probably got a little off topic when it came to just staying disciplined and stuff like that, but it's little things that come in. There's little things that come in hand. You know, it's not as easy to just stay disciplined and be able to get to it every day. You know, we all are human and we all have emotions and we all have these thoughts in our head. And the enemy like to use that, and the enemy like to come in and attack. You know, and before I end this video, I want to just use one more analogy for all my fighters out there. They may understand this, but you know, the enemy not coming for the knockout in the first round. You know, he gonna wait till probably the 8th round, you know, the 5th round, the last round maybe. Come in, you know, come for that knockout. So always understand that it's a long fight, but it's a good fight and it's worth it.